Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the project requirements this week. So I'm going to get into Desire to Learn. And the course shell. And we're going to go to the Content tab and select Week 3, Object-Oriented Programming Part 1. And then the project requirements are in right here, Object-Oriented Programming Lab Progress Check. And then click on the instructions. And this will list the requirements. So the first thing was to pick a topic. And I already told you I was going to work on music videos. Here's some suggestions in here. And once again, if you have any questions, post them as part of your stand-up, and either I or one of the students will offer suggestions. So main requirements is we want to create an item class. So for me, that's going to be music videos, and then a subclass, which is going to be performance music videos, or maybe just performance videos. And then we also want to make a very minimal console UI class that is menu driven and gets input from the user, where the user selects choices, and then choices actually are used to update or view information about your items. And this week we only have to support an exit function. So all of the work is really going to be setting up our item classes, and the rest of the work for the collections and the UI is going to come next week. So project structure, as I said, I went ahead and created separate directories for my UI, logic, and data layers. That's not required. What is required is a console UI.py file, and then an item class file that's named after your item class. So mine's going to be music video. And then class for your subclass. And so I guess I'll make it performance video. And then the input validation. And so I already have most of that. So let's go ahead and I have UI. In my logic, I'm going to make a new Python file called music video, and I'm using upper camel case because it's a class name, and we write class names in upper camel case, and it's singular because it's going to be information about, and a music video object is going to be information about one music video. Lists of music videos are going to be in a collection class, which I haven't created yet. And then I'm going to have a new Python file called performance video, which is going to be a subclass of music video. And then in my UI folder, I'm going to have a new Python file called console UI. And by the way, this is the console UI because we're also going to have a web UI. So we're either going to be able to run this from the command line as a standalone program, or we're going to be able to run it as a website that we connect to using a browser. So that's the project structure. And then let's look at the requirements for the logic classes. So let's go back to the assignment document. So all it really says here is create an item class to hold data about your items. Name of the class should reflect your topic. For each item in the class should be able to store at least 3 pieces of information. So for me, that's going to be, actually I'll have a little bit more than 3. I'm going to have name of the artist, name of the song, year of release, and notes. So I'm just going to have a text field for notes. And then at least one additional piece of information for items in the subclass. I'm going to have 2. I'm going to have location of the performance and date of the performance. And I'm going to make the date just be a piece of text because sometimes I'll know the exact date. Sometimes I'll only know the year. Sometimes I won't really know at all. And so I'll just say unknown or something like that. So I don't want to overly restrict myself in terms of what I can put there, at least not yet. Okay, so let's go ahead and create those classes. So for the logic class in music video, class music video, and then I'm going to use name mangling, which is something that we do in 133Y. And so first thing I'm going to have is artist, which is just an empty string by default. And then let's have song, actually should be title, I guess. Yeah. And then let's do, suggesting release date, but I'm just going to use year here, I think. Because usually finding the month is tough. So let's just do 0 because it's numeric. And then note is just an empty piece of text. I guess that's kind of a pun because we're talking about music. Maybe I should just have comment, but okay. Anyways, and then I'm going to go ahead and put my constructor in here, and I'm looking at the default. So self is the new object I'm creating, and then artist title, year, and note. So that all looks good. And then self.under artist is artist, and then title. This is all boilerplate, except this is wrong already. Okay, and then year is, I'm only going to pass in ints, so I don't need to do a conversion. And then note is going to be note. Okay, in addition to this, this is getting a little bit ahead of where we want to be, but when I start dealing with collections and with the user interface, there's going to be a really common operation, which is I want to give the user a list of choices and have them type in something and then use that piece of information that the user's typed in order to select the item that matches what they typed. So specifically, I need a key value, and a key value is used to uniquely identify each different music video. Now, what I use for the key, it has to be distinct for every separate video, because otherwise I don't know which one to pick when the user gives me the key value. So that's what makes it a key, is it selects a specific music video. But I can't use artist by itself for the key because obviously an artist, for example, Bruce Springsteen, might have hundreds of songs. And so just giving me the artist by itself does not actually allow me to identify a specific music video in all cases. Some cases I might only know one song from a particular artist, but most of the time, artist by itself is not enough to be a key value. Similarly with title, there are actually music titles that have been produced by multiple artists. So for example, Blinded by the Light is both Bruce Springsteen and also Manfred Mann's Earth Band. And Because the Night is both Patti Smith, or Smythe, and Bruce Springsteen, and so on. So there are a lot of different tunes that are produced by multiple artists. So title by itself is not adequate either. Now, for music video, I'm going to have probably both the artist and the title will be enough to uniquely identify any particular music video, because if I really need, because I'm only going to limit myself to the actual official publication, the official initial song production for each of these things. And then anything beyond that, I'm going to call that a performance, and I'm going to include the location and the date as well. So for music video, at least as a first cut, I'm just going to use artist and title for the key value. And then probably I won't need year as part of the key, but I might revisit that. So if the user selects a pair, artist and title, I can use that as the key to identify a specific music video. And I'm going to have some mechanism to support that. So in particular, what I want to have is a lookup table called map, and it's going to be a dictionary. So the key in this dictionary is going to be this key value, which is artist and title in lowercase. And then the value associated with that key is going to be the music video object that matches that key value. And every time I make a new music video object, I'm going to add it to this map so that I have an easy way of going from the key value back to the object. And that's going to make my life a lot easier in terms of the user interface. So what that's going to look like is, so this is, I want to say one other thing about this. So like this value here, artist, this is going to be potentially different for every single music video object. So like, you know, Bruce Springsteen and Patti Smith and Manfred Mann's Earth Band and Alan Parsons Project and so on and so forth. Each music video might have a different artist. Same with title, same with year, same with note. But this map is a different thing because I'm only going to have one map, and inside of this one map is going to be all of the different music videos. So instead of having a different map on each music video object, I really want to have one map on the music video class instead. So in Python, a class is actually an object, and you can store properties on the class. And then anytime you make an object of the class, you sort of inherit that property. But it's really literally stored in the object that represents the music video class in Python. And so what I want to do for this particular object I'm making, if I want to add this object to this property of the class, the way I reference that is I say self.under_class. So that gets me music video. So this is the new music video object I'm making here, the self. And then class is going to be this music video class, and then map from there. And then I want to set the value of the key. So that's going to be self.getKey is going to be equal to self. So what this does is it takes the object I'm making, I've already set all these properties, it takes the object I'm making, it calls getKey, which is going to get the key value, it uses that as the key in this map dictionary on the class, and it stores the new object as the value associated with that key property. And then we're going to see how that gets used when we build the user interface, but for now, just trust me. So now we need a def key method, get key rather. And for the key value, I'm going to use a formatted string. So self.artist, and then I like colon and self.title. And then I do not want case to be significant in my system. I don't want the user to have to get the case right when they're typing in these things. Because like, who can remember whether ofs and thes and so on are capitalized or not? So I'm always going to take, for the key value, I'm going to convert everything into lowercase. So I know that all the keys are completely lowercase. Okay, so that's going to be the key value. I can optionally add additional getters and setters for all of these things, but I'm never actually going to, well, I'm not going to add them until I need them. I want to keep the interface as small as possible, at least to start with. And so I'm just going to stick with what I have right now. But I'm going to add to it over the course of this project. So I have my constructor, I have my key, and I have a map that I can use to look them up. I'm going to go ahead and I'll come back to lookup when we get to the user interface. So for each item in the class, you should be able to store at least 3 pieces of information, at least one additional piece of information for items in the subclass.